I almost talked myself out of buying a Tesla, not because of price, but because of anxiety. Winter driving, charging, range, but mostly fear. I watched video after video that made it sound like owning a Tesla in the Midwest would be inconvenient, risky, and stressful, especially in the winter. But I bought one anyway. Now, after owning my Tesla for over a year and being age 58, I can tell you exactly what I was worrying about and what I actually got wrong. If you're over 50 and live in a cold climate and are deciding between a Model 3 and a Model Y, this video might save you some stress and maybe keep you from making the same mistake I did. Let me tell you what Tesla ownership is really like and what I would do differently if I were doing it all over again today. I had previously had like a 2019 Mustang. I really enjoyed that car. It sat low to the ground. And that's exactly kind of what the Model 3 felt like for me. I went over uh, to Davenport, Iowa, and did the test drive of a Model 3 probably back in like September of 2024. Um, and I really thought that that was going to be the right model for me because I liked the way it sat lower to the ground, and I just liked the feeling of being lower to the ground. But I've now owned my Tesla for about a year. So one of the things that I actually kind of regret about that is that maybe sitting too low to the ground is not good for somebody who's getting older. So I'm right now 58. I'm getting close to retirement, and it's actually harder to get in and out of my vehicle than I expected. I have also taken a test drive of a Model Y recently just to try it out, to provide information also to my viewers to see if it would help them on their journey to buying a Tesla. And I really actually enjoyed the Model Y height. It was actually just right. I didn't feel like I was actually sinking into the seats, falling down to get in, trying to like, I literally have to like grab the steering wheel of my car as I get into it just to kind of help me get down into the seats. Now, I'm not exactly a skinny person, so I've gained some weight over the last couple of years. And so it's making it a little bit harder for me to get in and out of the car for sure, right? Like maybe if I just lost like 70 or 80 pounds, that would help with just getting in and out of the car as well. But I really feel like there are some other things about owning a Model 3 versus a Model Y that make the choice a big difference. Um, so when you get into the Model 3 back end seats, right? The back seats, they're also kind of difficult to get into. So there's like a slope on the roof that's a lot more distinct. And so as you try to get into those back seats as an adult, you'll hit your head, guaranteed, or you'll be bending over a lot trying to not hit your head as you get in. So that's another thing about the Model 3. But it's not only just that it's hard to get in, there's actually a little bit less room in between the seats, but still fairly decent. But with the Model 3, there's just a little bit less knee space as well. Um, Overall, the comfort, the feel of the seats once you're in it is the same. You just feel a little bit lower to the ground. But yeah, with the Model Y, when you get into those seats, you don't really hit your head. You're right, your rear end's right at the right height to kind of just slide into the vehicle. So yeah, that's a pretty big deal as you get older, I feel, or if you've gained weight, it makes it more difficult to get in and out of the vehicle. So yeah, I probably would have bought a Model Y just for that reason alone. But there are other things that I maybe would have done different. Now, I deliberated quite a bit about the color of the vehicle that I should get. Um, I don't know that I made a bad choice. I like the color red that I did get. There are lots of other colors. I could have easily just bought the stealth gray, got it wrapped in whatever color I wanted, and been just as happy and probably just about the same amount of cost. But I feel like the red was the right choice for me. But when it comes to the interior, there are two options. With the Model Y, Model 3, you can either get the white or they call it white with white and black interior, or you can get the black interior. Now, I have had black seats a lot in the past, and they're always, especially when it's leather or vegan leather, it's actually hot, right? So they seem to get warm much quicker. And so that was a consideration when I was buying my vehicle. Now, I went with the white. So the white definitely feels better, but there's always this concern that, like, if I wear blue jeans like every single day, will I get blue jean stain on the actual white material? Well, you get a little bit of that, but I think just having this EVO shield from Gion has helped a bit with that all along. So I basically apply some of this coating, especially to the spot where you get into the seat, and you have to kind of put your jeans across it every day to get in and out. So I apply a light coating. I first I clean it, and then I apply a light coating to the seat right there just to kind of protect it. I don't feel like it really is a problem for the rest of the seat, but that little lip as you're getting in and out of the driver's side of the car definitely can gather some stain from your blue jeans. So clean it, I apply a coat, I let it sit for about 6 hours, and then it's good to go for another maybe 6 months. Um, so that's one thing you can do if you really want to have the white interior. I mean, it looks stunning, to tell you the truth. It's a great choice, but black is just as nice as well. It just doesn't stand out that well. So, what else would I have changed about my car? Um, yeah, I probably getting the Model Y, I think I could have saved myself a bit of change in tinting, because the Model Y comes with more complete tinting. So the two rear windows are already tinted, and then the whole ceiling has a new coating that has a reflective material in it that actually resists the heat a little bit more than the current Model 3 does. So if I would have done that as well, the Model Y would have made sense to me from the perspective of just keeping the sun and UV rays out of the vehicle. Now, would I have still bought some other accessories to like put on the ceiling over the glass during the hot summers and on the windshield? Probably, but I don't know. I did my tinting when it was still winter, so I didn't really know what the summer effect was going to be. So I think maybe the one thing I could have changed with getting it tinted, my Model 3 would have been I would have probably just waited a little bit longer to see what summer really was like, so that I could really see the difference between having the windows tinted with XPEL XR or not having it tinted at all. Now, I have a lot of friends that own Teslas as well at work. It seems to be an IT thing, but a lot of them have had their windows tinted as well. And then there's others that have not had any tinting done at all. So that's maybe another thing. Just hold out on the tinting. Wait until you kind of get a feel for what the heat in your location is going to do, and then make a decision about whether you need tinting. And if you get a Model Y, a lot of it's already tinted, so you may only need like a little bit more tint on the front windows. That's about it. Um, so yeah, a couple other things that I did when I purchased my Tesla Model 3. I bought this tire like warranty, like covers like any damage to the tires for the first year. I actually didn't end up needing that at all. I was more concerned. I live in Illinois, and so potholes are a thing in Illinois. And I was worried that I was going to hit some hole, get a flat tire, and then need to have my vehicle towed somewhere to get it fixed. But that didn't end up being the case. Now, if you're not aware of this, the Tesla vehicles don't come with a spare tire and a jack. So that's something that you're just not going to find. You can buy kits on Amazon. I'm not sure. I've not looked at them really, and decided to buy anything, but that is an option as well. Um, seen some people mount like a spare tire underneath the speaker system in the rear trunk. But that seems like a complete waste of space. Um, Honestly, I don't know that it's that important to have a spare tire. There's always AAA. And if you're like me and you're over 50 years old, you may not want to be out there changing your tire anyway. So just call a professional, let them come and do it, let them take care of your car. It doesn't cost that much. And it's really kind of personal preference, if you ask me. Okay, so one thing that I wouldn't change is using full self driving. Full self-driving is pretty amazing. It does all the navigation for you. You do have to supervise it still. It's not unsupervised. And Tesla just announced that they're going to be getting rid of the full purchase, like the lifetime purchase of Tesla FSD. But to be honest with you, like if you're going to buy it for the subscription price of $99 a month. I mean, to me, that makes more sense. I don't really keep my cars any more than 5 years, and it would take quite a bit longer to pay off the $8,000 sticker price of buying FST outright. So I recommend buying it monthly and deciding if it's for you. Um, for me, it's just helps me in reducing fatigue and stress while driving. I don't drive long distances, but I like to enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning as I'm driving to work, and I like to listen to music. So it gives me a little bit more freedom with my hands, makes it easier. I don't have to think about as much, and it can see everything better than I can see anyway. So now, in order to really afford the $99 a month, you can do like I did. If you have the option of buying the Tesla insurance in your state, it's only available in certain states, Illinois being one of them. And they quoted me about $127 a month, I think, when I first was buying my car. And the insurance company that I used at the time was also quoting me well over $150 a month. So I think Tesla probably understands their vehicles better and can offer a lower rate. But if you're using full self-driving, your driving score that they use for calculating your monthly insurance rate will go down over the first couple months and end up being around like mine, being 58 years old, having a pretty good driving record. It's only costing me just under $60 a month. So that's quite a bit of savings from where I started. I was going to be if I bought my insurance through Farmers, which is my insurance company. But yeah, so if you look at how much that would cost, less than $60 a month from Tesla after doing really well on your score, and then comparing it to the price I would have started at with my current insurance company of $150, I'm basically saving $90 off the price of FSD in exchange for a safer and better ride, right? So I don't have to do as much thinking. FSD is completely safe, and I don't think there's anything to fear. So I know some people don't really get it. They're like, okay, AI is driving you. Like, why would you do that? That sounds crazy. Yeah, I mean, I use AI at work every day. It's kind of it's prevalent everywhere now. Like you can't get away from anything. Everything has AI in it, right? So even in my daily work, I have to use AI. And it's not like it's necessarily a personal choice. It's like a company direction, I feel, is to try to increase productivity through AI, Well, you can also do the same with full self-driving, which is technically just AI, right? So it's a computer in the car. It's using all the cameras and and vision that it can to see what's around the vehicle and make smart decisions based on map data, vehicle interaction, people interaction, and just um, anything that it can see. It sees the stoplights, the stop signs, it sees the markers in the road. It's fully NHTSA compliant. So basically, if it makes a stop at the stop sign before it even gets to the road, that's normal because that's the rules, right? So, yeah, it's definitely safer than driving yourself. We all have a tendency to roll through stop signs. We all have a tendency to pull up past the stop sign right into the crosswalk, and that puts other people at risk as well. Um, so the full self-driving is doing what you're supposed to do when you're driving. So yeah, I think that full self-driving is still a great option, and at $99 a month, you can't beat it. Um, so one other thing that I would definitely add to that list of things that I wouldn't change is I probably still would keep the monthly subscription for the premium service. I feel like it just is probably easier than having to connect via Bluetooth and having everything set up just right in order to use the entertainment system in your vehicle every time you're in it. I know it might be simple and maybe you just set it up one time and it just works, but I don't really want to use my phone data plan all the time just to be doing that. And that also means I need to probably have my phone charging a bit more because when you have a personal hotspot on, you're using the battery of your phone much faster. And one of the things that Tesla vehicles are notorious for is the charging pads that they have underneath the screen. They get pretty hot, right? Especially like if you're charging that way for a long time, your phone will get hot, especially an iPhone. I'm not sure about Android phones, but Apple phones for sure will get hot. So some other things that I would change, maybe more behavioral than anything. Um, so I watched a lot of videos prior to buying my car. Um, I saw a lot of things happening that winter. It was not even winter yet. It was like October, and we had some snow or something, and people were like talking about how Teslas weren't able to charge in the Chicago area, or that they were standing waiting in lines for chargers because it was taking longer to charge. And I think that's a lot because these are like standard type models or standard range models, not the long range models. And a lot of Uber drivers in the Chicago area that were having this problem. Um, but I had watched all these videos, made my purchase, and I remember immediately after making the purchase and going to bed that night that I immediately had this like anxiety about, well, how am I going to get home and like where am I going to charge it and like will I be able to make it home okay? Like what if I get to the charger and it doesn't work? Like all these things that I had watched in the videos that kind of made me think that I was going to have these problems. None of it was actually reality. So, first of all, when I got home, I didn't have any problems getting back to my home with the car. It was a pretty good day. It wasn't super cold out. So, yeah, I didn't even know how to use FSD yet, right? I was still like hesitant about using it, but I could have used it. But I have a spouse that's not really into automation and autonomy. So we didn't use it on the way home. I probably would have if it would have just been me. But when I got home, I had to figure out how I was going to charge the car. So I had bought the mobile charger. I didn't buy a wall charger, but I didn't have a NEMA 1450 plug yet that I could plug it into and charge the vehicle. So I had to use a 12-volt outlet, and it worked pretty good. I mean, it was slow, but I had no problems charging my vehicle off of the 120-volt outlet. So that was not a problem. But I did want it to be faster. So I did have a NEMA 1450 installed, and now I'm using the wall charger with about 28 amps of charging, so I can charge my vehicle much faster every day I get home. So I come home, I plug it in, and the next morning when I wake up, I have a full charge once again on my vehicle. When I say full charge in a long range Model 3, that's 80% of your battery. So I get about a range of 273 on that. So yeah, so not a problem. I was worried about like how would my car be able to charge if it's sitting outside because I had been parking my Ford Edge outside for years and I was not sure like is my car going to freeze? Am I going to be able to open the doors? Is it going to be able to charge if it's super cold out? How am I going to run the cable from in the garage out to the car? How am I going to go into the garage door? All these things were like on my mind. And so none of that ended up being a big problem. I ended up actually making room for my car to park in the garage for the first time in 20 something years that we've owned this house. And so I actually park in the garage. It's tight. Let's just say that. So it's a two-car garage, but with a traverse and another car in the garage, it can be a little tight. So I do have to get pretty close to the right-hand wall as I pull into the garage. But yeah, I now plug in directly in my garage, charging every night as much as possible. And so I have no problems. And I've left my car out in the cold during the day while I'm at work or when I'm at a store. And yeah, snow falls, accumulates, ice accumulates, but it's not a big deal. The car has a super great way of heating up the vehicle. It's so fast, so quick. It will warm up the vehicle and all the ice and stuff around the edges will not cause you any problems. Now, if it's super cold for days and days and days and you haven't like been running it very long, obviously you're going to have trouble just getting right into the car. But you should always preheat your vehicle to let that heat collect inside the vehicle and start melting like the ice and snow in the joints. It'll go a long way to making it easy to get in and out of your vehicle. So yeah, like I had all this anxiety about like how I was going to charge it, where I was going to charge it. Would it be outside? Okay. Would the snow and ice and the roads be a disaster? Was this the right move? When it was the right car to buy? Am I making a mistake buying an EV? It was perfectly fine. That's really what I want to say. Now, I did have a couple moments though of, I would say, range anxiety as well. So my brother and his wife came to town, and we were driving to Dubuque, which is only about 70 miles from here. And I have a battery with a range of 270. And I remember like putting in the map instructions and my car saying it was like starting to precondition the battery like already, and I hadn't even left the Quad Cities yet. And maybe I had done something wrong. I don't know. But it kind of got me spooked. So I turned off the navigation and really didn't use it. But I did use like autopilot to get me to Dubuque that day. But while we were in Dubuque, we stayed at this old hotel right downtown called the Redstone. It's kind of a mysterious place. I wouldn't say like there's supposedly paranormal activity there, but I didn't see or sense or feel anything. But yeah, maybe I thought about it that night as I was laying my head down on the pillow going to bed. But I also was thinking about, well, how am I going to get home? Like I have this EV outside. It's sitting out in the cold. My battery is down to like some percentage. Like, where do I even charge? I didn't even think about where do I charge in Dubuque. It wasn't a problem at all. Like every high V seems to have superchargers. So the Dubuque superchargers are at the high V. So I drove to the high V that morning. I actually got up early because I was worried, like, how do I go and charge? I've never done this, like, so I had to go drive over to the supercharger again. I shouldn't say never done this. I had done it once before when I first got my car. After I got back from picking it up, I went to a supercharger and charged it that night because I had that fear of using the 120 volt. But I went to the Chargers. It took longer than I expected because I didn't really precondition the battery going to the Hy-Vee. So it took a little bit longer. But hey, I had time to go in, get a donut from Hy-Vee, and get a little bit heavier. So anyway, yeah. Um, so going to Dubuque was not a problem. Coming back was not a problem. The one thing that kind of also worried me there was some wind. It was very windy those 2 days that we were driving to Dubuque and back. So I was worried about. I have three passengers. You know, I have wind resistance as I'm driving, and it's cold outside. How will the car perform? And to tell you the truth, there was no issues at all. I was worrying about nothing. So I got home after the trip to Dubuque, not a problem. Couple months later, I went to Arizona. So this was another trip. This was the first time I was going to leave my Tesla in an airport parking lot for an extended period of time, uncovered, uh, exposed to all the elements of winter in the Midwest. And so I drove to Cedar Rapids, stayed at a hotel that night. Me and my brother got on an airplane at Cedar Rapids Airport, and I left my car in the parking lot. It was cold. Um, the night before I had drove to Cedar Rapids, I went to a Hy-Vee again. I fully charged it at the Hy-Vee Superchargers and then drove to my hotel, spent the night there. The next morning, drove it to the airport, left it at the airport. I think I was at about 76% charge by the time I got to the hotel and to the airport and leaving it overnight in the cold. But the the whole week that I was gone in Arizona, I looked at my phone for the first couple days, probably at least 4 or 5 times each day for the first couple days to see, like, how was my battery doing? Looking at the cameras, like, is it cold out? Is it snowing out? Are my windows freezing up? Like, all these things that I was thinking about, like, because of all those videos I had seen were making me think that how is my car going to survive an entire week of being at the airport in the Midwest cold of winter, right? Well, after a couple days, I realized my battery was only draining like 2% a day max. And I was even using Sentry mode to like look at my cameras and see what was going on. And then eventually I just turned Sentry mode off because what's the point? I'm in an airport. Nobody's going to be like getting into my empty car and stealing anything. So by the time I got back from Arizona to get my car, I was maybe minus 6% from where I was. So I was at about 70% battery at that point. No problems at all leaving it in the cold for a week. So I drove home from Cedar Rapids. I don't think I ever had any more range anxiety from driving my vehicle from that point forward. I have driven all the way back to Naperville, where I picked up my vehicle once, and that was to get the paperwork done for the Illinois state credit for EVs. Yeah, that trip was also uneventful. I think at that point I was kind of used to driving my car. I was still getting free supercharging. And so when I went to Naperville, I charged up at a supercharger there. I basically went and got some lunch, went to the supercharger, sat there and ate my lunch, and then drove the rest of the way home without any problems. So yeah, I think like if I could do one thing differently now, it would just be like don't let the range anxiety or the fears of winter hold you back from buying a Tesla. It's not really that big of a deal. Now, if you buy a model that doesn't have like the two motors, it may be a little bit more concerning during the winter because with the two motors, you actually end up heating up the vehicle much quicker. So I think that is a factor in buying a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y for sure. Make sure you get one with two motors if you're going to drive it in the Midwest. I think that will just help you if you need to actually park outside long term. So yeah, that's kind of the things I wanted to go through and explain how I would do things differently if I were to do it again today, and some things that maybe you didn't really need to worry about, or you shouldn't worry about when you're buying your Tesla and what to do for charging and during the winter. I just don't think it was all that big of a deal in the end. So yeah, thanks. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. And if this is your second time or you've been here multiple times to watch videos, I really appreciate you coming back and watching my videos. And please comment, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Until then, have a great day. And as always, use technology to drive safe so you can live life.